Hello, and welcome to the Holly Hamill Hive podcast picture show. I'm very excited today to introduce my guest, Jesse Hamilton. And I know Jesse from my social circles through music and art communities, camping communities. And I'm just so honored to get to have this opportunity to share Jesse with the world through this platform. And so, Jesse, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hello everybody. My name's Jesse Hamilton. I have a strong interest in mechanical stuff and nature and plants and music as well.
Excellent. So, um, tell us a little bit about um, what lessons you've been learning recently and what's been happening in your life in the last couple of years.
I have been learning quite a bit, and I actually had a motorcycle accident that I survived in January of 2021. And so I've been learning to use rehab and doctors and medication and stuff. I never had to use that before, but I am being patient and just recovering and sticking to it.
Excellent. So, what was your life like before the accident?
Well, I had a garden, I played in bands, and I just love people and animals in general.
Absolutely. That definitely checks out with the Jesse that I was first introduced to. And so, um, what can you tell us about the events leading up to the accident, and what do you remember about the accident?
Well, I have a little memory missing, luckily. Uh, but I went back to the area in Marietta where I had the accident, and a car almost hit us then. I think that somebody pulled out and I tried to dodge it, and I mistakenly hit the curb or a little sidewalk, and that launched me off the bike. And you know, something else must have happened. I had a helmet on, but it popped off, and I was just grateful to still be here. But it was plenty of an adventure.
Absolutely. And so, so how, so after the accident, what type of injuries did you sustain?
Well, my luckily not a lot of broken bones. I smashed my jaw. I have 13 screws in my face actually, and my brain injury, my traumatic brain injury is called a diffuse axonal. It's basically when the brain hits the wall of the skull. It's similar to what people unfortunately get from shaken baby syndrome.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, I have studied that quite a bit because of my child care and baby oriented career as a doula. So I've definitely studied that quite a bit. So, and then you were in a coma for quite some time.
Yeah, I was in a coma for a few weeks, maybe even maybe even 2 months. I didn't measure the exact time, but I'm glad they came out of it because they initially weren't even sure I was going to. So that is another blessing.
Absolutely. So I was following your story during that time, and I remember I don't remember who posted it first, if it was your family. I know your band members and the Ain't Sisters were Barb and Ari were and Boudreaux were following closely and keeping people informed about that. But I remember hearing about the accident and hearing that you were in a coma, that you were still alive, but you were asleep, and all of us praying and hoping for me personally. I was praying for your peace or comfort or whatever it is that you needed, that your soul needed, whether it meant that I would see you in heaven or the next time around
Well,
or
I'd like to go ahead and thank you for that. I mean, I have a lot of great, very close friends and even some people who don't know, and I appreciate every prayer, and I definitely believe that all of them help in one way or another. I think that I may have even led some people who were distancing themselves from spirituality to pray who haven't prayed in a long time. So that's a small comfort.
That's beautiful.
It
That's beautiful.
really is.
So I remember being really like, yeah, that was during my time when I was just starting to really get deep in my spiritual practice with intuition and also checking in with people that have crossed over. And I remember trying to reach out to you and seeing if I could find you in that space, that ether, that dream state, astral plane, wherever it is. Do you know where you were, or do you have theories about where you might have been?
I don't have any memories, luckily, but I definitely believe I have researched a little bit about near death experiences. So I think I might have visited. I mean, I'm closer to being spirituality, not because I've almost been there, but I definitely believe that I just went to the next existence.
Absolutely. And so do you have any impressions? I know it's not like a memory the way that, that we would um perceive that, but do you have any like impressions, or do you like a sense, any like what did that change for you? What did you come back with?
Well, I do get occasional thoughts about people who have passed, and I think that might be them reaching out to me, and it is comforting. And I feel like I'm a little more patient and open than I used to be, quite self conscious. But I'm glad that I came along far enough and blessed that I don't have to, work on my dealing with people or having shyness get in the way or any of that
Yeah,
stuff.
you have seemed more this is great, because well, I always felt comfortable with you, and so I'm trying to kind of feel into like what the differences are, but you do seem very like at home in your body in a way that you maybe were it was a little different before.
Right. Thank you for saying that. I've always felt comfortable with you too, and it's so nice to be able to see your face and talk to you again. It really is. And
Absolutely.
I do think that it has matured me a little bit. I mean, I had my 36th birthday or 36, yeah, 36. Sorry, I was just calculating.
Yeah.
But I had my birthday without being conscious. My friends showed up outside the hotel room and played music for me. And a lot of random folks even just lit a candle for my birthday. And it's so sweet and touching. I really love all of it.
Absolutely. It was so beautiful to see how many people were rooting for you, and so many different circles, because we're both in like some music circles and some art circles, and seeing like people coming from all around um, to to um, to rally for you.
And
And I have a little bit of a different attitude about, death. I don't feel like that's the end per se. And so I feel like I was like reaching out to you in a place of just curiosity, of like, without judgment, or like, of course, this is such a blessing, beautiful exchange that we get to continue to do, ride on this ride together, this
absolute
lifetime.
planet Earth.
I know. It's been wonderful, but I didn't feel like if that didn't happen like that, if you didn't wake up from this, I didn't feel like that would be the end with us. So
Well,
I have.
thank you. I feel like I appreciate the kindness and the support of, my friends. It helps me feel a little less out there and alone. I believe it's so important to just think of what you do have, and I appreciate every single bit of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can feel that. So I wanted to share something with you and see like if this resonates at all. And it's okay if it doesn't, because this could be my imagination, because I'm still figuring out my own tools and gifts and how to use this perceiving different dimensions and things like that. But I felt like I was reaching out to you, and you were like almost like in negotiations with whatever powers that be that decide whether you come back or you go to the next place, that you were in negotiations about how difficult the rehab was going to be and whether or not you had that desire and gumption in you. And so, does that resonate at all?
It doesn't remind me of anything in particular, but I definitely believe that I've been given more time to get a job done. And
Excellent.
so that may be what you're picking up on a little bit. And I do feel like I got some instructions. I'm sorry that my memory is a little damaged and I don't, but I definitely agree with you that I believe the people thinking about me helped. And I even have fantasized that some of the pets I helped at the animal hospital came back for me karmically.
Oh,
And that whole, I actually sometimes feel a bit like a pet now. I feel like I want to be good and kind and encourage others to heal and be nice and friendly to the people who are helping me heal.
that's really sweet.
Well, you're welcome to ask me whatever, and we can definitely talk about it. I appreciate you helping me have good thoughts.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. So when you say that you felt like some of the pets that you'd helped at animal hospitals came back to help you karmically, what do you mean by that?
Well, when I think that helped me with my recovery because I saw a lot of animals that had been hit by cars or had growths and cancer and everything from just an everyday checkup to the most extreme x-rays. And it really was the whole order. And I was the animal handler, so I would go in the room with the doctor and the owner and the pet and help the pet up on the table and hold it to make sure nobody, including me or the doctor, got bit.
I see. So are you saying that you felt like maybe these animals that had or had they already crossed over and then they were like with you in that space helping?
Right, I do feel like that, and the whole memory helps me, I think, with therapy and doctors, which I wasn't used to. It helps me just be thankful and stick to coming back and respect what they tell me.
That's really sweet. I was sorry, I wasn't quite expecting that. That's really sweet. So so you said that you feel like you came back with a set of instructions,
I
directions. What
I
are
do
those?
feel that.
What do you feel like your directives are now that you've been given this chance to come back?
I feel like I was recognized about always liking to entertain people, but it's more than entertainment. It's about helping, encouraging, and motivating people in the right direction.
Yes. And what feels like the right direction for you? What does that mean to you?
Well, to me, that means being a good person, taking care of yourself and others, and your pets and plants too.
So sweet. So what was the what has the physical recovery been like for you learning to like because when you maybe we can start at like what your first memory of when you first woke up was. What was that like?
The earliest memory I have, it was hard for me to move and sit up, and I'm glad my head movement's coming back. My left hand is not totally back, but I couldn't even do this.
Yeah.
And they asked me what I couldn't wait to get back to, and I said, having friends and loving people. And that kind of was a moment for them as well as me. And I'm glad that I can say unique things because they really experience it all.
Wow. Um so so when you first woke up, it was hard like were you like paralyzed? Was it was hard to move your whole body or what was that? Kind of walk us
Uh,
through the process for those of us that haven't experienced that.
well, it was they had difficulty just making sure I could move each finger, and it was hard for me to even sit up at the very beginning. And I thankfully have still been able to walk, but it has taken a lot of rehab, like learning to step, learning to squat, learning to sit down and stand up from a chair. It is a whole lot of relearning, and I'm so glad that I don't have to have a nurse in the bathroom with me anymore, because that was a little bit awkward.
I understand. I understand. So, so what are the kind of for those of us that haven't experienced the need to go through rehab, what are some of the things that you would say to yourself, or maybe like maybe it was even coming from somewhere else, but what are some of the internal conversations that were happening when you realized like, oh, things aren't working how they used to. I'm going to have to relearn all this stuff. What kept you motivated?
Right. So I do three therapies. I do a physical therapy, speech and cognitive therapy, and an occupational therapy, which is like stretches and movements. Um, Most of the time, I encourage myself by thinking it only gets more difficult because you've made it to that level. And that helps keep me motivated and keep going. And I in problems that you're having, or problems that I'm having, only get better when you work on them properly. So that's what goes on in my head. If I'm having a difficult time, I don't get frustrated. I'm like, at least I've made it that far.
Wow. Wow. And so, so I heard that this was my own personal thing that like I knew how much like music was important to how important music is to you, and I met you in music circles and community, and there was a part of me that really wanted you to be able to, because I knew how much you loved it and how important it was to you, that I really really wanted you to be able to still be able to play music and to experience music to the way that you want to. So how's that coming along?
Well, I love music, and have been blessed to be able to. And my therapists even say that it's helping me. I'm relearning drums. My dad actually got me a ukulele for Christmas because the guitar was hard, but he said doctor approved, saying, "Hey, relearning's no problem. You might learn something you never knew before."
Wow.
So it really is a blessing. I've been working on singing in pitch and even remembering songs. And, I played in about 13 bands over the whole order. So it's nice to even revisit the ideas of some of them. And, I'm not rushing coming back, but I'm thankful to be doing it. And I'm just being my own student, basically. I still have all the stuff that I used to teach from. So I've been overlooking what I used to teach people to learn with, and that has been very helpful.
Wonderful. So you used to teach, and so now you're going back and looking at your like lesson plans and the tools that you use to teach others.
Right,
Wow.
exactly. And we actually had a kind of a good laugh. They invited me to come back to music camp, and I said, as a student?
That's so cute. I love the concept of like past you creating lesson plans for future you.
It really is. I couldn't have predicted anything. And life is, it's different. That life's unpredictability can actually be kind of fun in its own way. And I have been really enjoying. I practiced like the last 20 days at least an hour, so I'm sticking to the program.
Wonderful. So have you been playing with other people at all? Are you getting back into like band oriented play?
I have been playing a little bit on Zoom, actually. because they live in Georgia. They just call me and we run through a couple songs, and that has been lovely. And I have been able to revisit the stage twice, and those have both been lovely times. Once was at the Eddie with my project Swedish Fish. They're totally awesome. And then Ralph Roddenberry, who I played with for a while, invited me to actually join him on drums for a song. And Richie Jones was so kind to let me do it. And I think it went really well. I enjoy, watching it. And I did the work ahead of time and made sure I was ready for it.
That's amazing. I'm so impressed that you've been able to like hit all these milestones all the way to getting into things that the average person can't do. Like not everybody can play the drums, so
Well,
like not only are
well,
you
thank
recovering.
thank you for understanding. And music is my true love. It really is my favorite part of life in general.
Oh, I love that we connected over that.
Thank
So
you.
so what was so you graduated college before the accident, right?
I did, luckily, because calculus sounds really hard now. But I
Calculus was hard for me before, and I don't know.
yeah,
It
yeah,
didn't.
I'm glad that I made it through college. So I do have a business degree, and I have been revisiting working a little bit. I wanted to be a consultant, so I had a lot of people that I worked with helping, and seeing their companies still up and being successful is wonderful. And I helped my parents start their own local business up here, which is Winchell Welding. It's a farm equipment repair business,
Ooh.
and mobile welding, which is really kind of a hot item up here.
Ooh, I could use some of that myself. I've got a golf cart that needs some welding that probably would translate. So
Well, let me know
interesting.
if we can tow it up here for you or
All right.
something.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. So,
Sure.
thank you for that. So we've talked about your relationship with purpose a little bit, and we talked, and I want to circle back onto that in a minute, but just want to kind of work our way up. We talked about your relationship with your body and getting back into your range of motion and your
Yep,
activities of
movements.
daily
And we
living.
have a joke that they're going to teach me the YMCA again.
Yes, yes.
So, hooray! I'll be like, I won't be too hard on myself and get sad. It's young man, not sad man at the Cry MCA.
That's really cute, and your sense of humor is still intact, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm so glad I don't have to go to humor therapy.
I love
We can
I
leave HR for the business office.
love yes,
Yep.
yes. And so how has this changed your relationship with yourself? You mentioned before that you're less self-conscious, but tell me a little bit more about some of the internal dialogue and the relationship with yourself of who you felt like you were and who you are now when in
Well,
the
I've gotten a couple really good reports. Even the lady who interviewed me after the brain injury said I was a gifted child. So, that means I'm made out of the good stuff. And I was always kind of shy, but I feel like my intelligence being a little higher was a blessing because it has allowed it to come back, even if it's that much. Every thought is a blessing at this point.
it's wonderful.
Thank you.
I heard that having like the rhythmic ability, like with drumming, one of my friends who's brilliant mentioned that might actually assist you in recovery. Have you
I
heard anything like that?
I would agree with that. I haven't researched it, but it definitely does seem to help, and it helps me when when I finish a lesson or practice something that it's been really hard for me. I'm like, hey, that's a graduate that level.
I love that. I love that the concept of like also what you said before, like even though this is hard right now, the reason this is hard, it's because I've already accomplished this other stuff and I'm leveling up.
We're
It's
moving right
hard because
along to the next level.
yeah, it's hard because you're leveling up and you're making progress. It's not hard just because life is trying to break you down.
Yep. And I think I don't mean to do any advertising, but I use Musician, Musician,
Okay.
which is really an awesome program and it has helped me so much. And I feel like when I smashed my jaw, I actually had my Smile Direct aligners in, which I think helped me keep my teeth. And they asked me if I was ready to renew, and I was like, well, first of all, just let me say thank you.
Oh,
And that was really great. I like to spend time finding blessings in the challenges. And
wow.
I definitely believe that's just as important as, you know, reconnecting with music and drumming because that helps me and gives me a pat on the back that I'm working hard at staying focused.
I love that. I love that. So how has this experience brought you more spiritual awareness? What has this done for your relationship with spirit?
Well, I have felt more connected in general. I still have the dead people visit me in thoughts, and I even visited. Yeah, I know we keep coming back to animals, but I visited a spot where my cat was buried, and he visually appeared to me. And it's strange that my left eye is a little bit closed and his
Mhm.
left eye was closed. So that's a strange parallel.
So that was happening before he crossed over?
Yep.
Wow, interesting. Interesting,
Yep.
familiar situation there.
It really is. And I'm so glad that the stitches are out and I'm going to go see the eye doctor soon and he can assess whether it's ready to reopen.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
I got to spend time with even a patient who was there for another surgery, so that was a blessing. And I mean, they had me pretty well, you know, sedated, and but getting your eyes sewn shut while you're conscious is pretty interesting.
Whoa.
And I'll
Very
stay
bad.
away from the negativity. It was just an interesting experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how has this changed your perception of like what does life mean? And like, what's the meaning of life and why are we here and what's it all about? How has that changed because of this?
Well, I think same as before, I would believe that the journey here is your duty to everybody and helping yourself, taking care of the planet and animals and stuff. I feel like I'm more perceptive of other people and I am still considering others plenty and I haven't really changed my outlook that much, honestly.
Did you have any confirmation of what your beliefs were? Was there anything that that feels more like certain and solid now?
Well, if I may say, I certainly believe in God, and not because I've been there to visit him. I've always felt the presence of the Spirit, and I respect what I've read in the Bible, the Book of Mormon, and stuff like that. And I'm definitely open to different kinds of religion, meditation included. I love the Zen tales and stuff like that. I think is really great stuff to revisit. And, I definitely feel just more sure of all that stuff in a respective way.
What would you say is like, was there any kind of overarching summary that has to do with truth um, uh, that you've experienced that feels more certain to you? Is there anything else, like any like messages that you could share with us that have come through for you because of this?
Well, I definitely believe in doing things for people's benefit. I mean, I used to like punk rock, but I think the self destructive or negative outlook on life is no longer welcome. Uh, as far as overarching, I mean, I'm trying to think broadly here, but I'm just grateful to still be here to help. And I think the lesson should be stick to the program, listen to the doctors and therapists, and do what they tell you.
Yeah.
And, the whole you only live once thing is more of a warning than a don't wait for stuff.
Oh.
Just be patient is a blessing to even be able to do that.
Hmm. Interesting. So okay, that's sparking a few different directions in me. So when you say that it's a warning not to wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, people say YOLO, like don't waste any time messing around or
Okay.
have a drink because you only live once, but it's really should be more of a warning, like you only live once, so make the right choice. I'm
Mm.
just joking about popular culture there, really. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's fine. So, okay, so now maybe you have like a different like reverence for how you're spending your time and the choices that you're making. Is that what you're saying?
I absolutely have some reverence there. I spend time working on myself and what I enjoy doing and ways that I can help or influence other people.
Mm. So what I'm hearing as kind of like what's shaken out, what's distilling from for me from what you're saying is that the meaning of life is to be grateful and to serve.
That is exactly right. And I have been led into that conclusion definitely. I'm glad that I'm getting across what I mean to. That's a blessing.
Yeah, that's kind of through all my searching and seeking and meditating and pondering and praying and messing up and through trial and error. That's kind of what I feel like the message that's come through for me too is gratitude and contribution.
Absolutely. And you guys, please stick to it. Don't take the hard road.
What would the hard road be?
Well, that was what I was joking around about the motorcycle accident. Or,
To the actual physically hard road.
yeah, it has been a
Face
physically hard.
down to the face into the hard road. So
Yep.
I understand. So so what's next for you? What do you actually see? Like I heard you saying, service and gratitude and sticking with the program and things like that. But what's next for you? Like what do you feel like your calling is? Like what why were you, well, sorry, let me back up for 1 second. You told me earlier before we were recording that there was 3 times that your life was saved. That you was this all during this accident or were there other times in
Yeah,
life?
well, I was revived twice, so I'm on the third go round.
Excellent. Okay, so this is your third shot. I see.
Yep, and as far as helping people, I loved doing business consulting, helping people getting their stuff together and start companies. And I have also been revisiting the idea with writing more stuff with good material message and also maybe motivational speaking or however I can help people in general.
I love that. I love that. I think there's such a great need, like an unending, sustainable need for hope and for inspiration and for storytelling.
Right. I find sticking to the positive is really helpful, and it's more difficult for me to deal with others being negative. I just let them have their space and then try to help accentuate to underline the positive or find out what they was grateful for. For example, if someone's telling me about bad stuff that happened at work, I'll be like, well, after they're finished, I'll be like, well, what was the best part of your day?
Hmm.
Just kind of help people get a better mindset in general.
And so coming back with that message of putting your attention on, positive things and looking for the blessing in each thing. What can we unpack that a little bit more? Like where did that, I guess I'm curious where the line of thought has shifted that for you.
Well, I definitely used to have a more negative outlook, and I think that it has, this whole experience has gradually nudged me in the right direction. I think that maybe there's some spirituality there, just being like, hey, tap, tap, listen.
Mm.
Like look around, and I feel like I'm making an effort to stay away. People with my injuries sometimes have trouble with depression and stuff, so I've been careful not to, you know uh get familiar with being sad or negative. I just stick to the good stuff and get to work with coming back together.
Excellent, excellent. And so, what will you tell yourself, or what do you, what is the I guess I find that a lot of my questions are going into the internal dialogue. So, like, what are you, what do you say to yourself if you do start to feel down, or if you do start to feel like you catch yourself focusing on the negative? What do you say?
Well, I try to just say stop, change direction, and like I may say a prayer or do some meditation, and just what are some things you're thankful for is a great place to start. Just, I practice thankfulness instead of sadness and just try to make a redirection. I'm not sure when that began, but I'm definitely keeping that in practice.
I love that. I love that. It's so simple. It's so easy to just like to these directions that you came back with saying, um when I start to feel sad, I just focus on the things I'm grateful for, like.
Right. It's like just take the small steps in the right direction. I mean, I do get sad sometimes. I'm not immune to that, but I just spend more time being grateful and thankful and things I enjoy and, meeting great friends to add to the list.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I witnessed this with another one of my friends who had a near death experience and survived, and ended up having to have a leg amputated. But he had such a zest for life and such like this just palpable sweetness. Like you could almost like smell heaven on him, the way that he just was so in love with life and so grateful to be here and so focused on pointing out all the things that there are to love
Right,
about life.
that's the right attitude. I mean, I just say I'm sorry for what happened to him, but I'm glad that he is keeping the right attitude and the zest for life and just the thankfulness is so much better than depression.
Absolutely. Yeah, he actually was in a motorcycle accident as well, and uh and he's doing adorable things with it. Like he got one of those, he got like he's a diver, like ocean diver, and he got a flipper. So he's got like a one fin flipper, kind of like a dolphin, that he puts on the one leg, and it's very cool. I'm
That
so.
is cool, and who knows, that's a great idea that might have helped other people.
Oh, I think so. I mean, it at the very, very least, smallest like little thing, it changed my life because I remember how he was, like afterwards, and just a reminder to live my life like that. Because and it's nice to know that somebody like has gone on the other side, whatever that other place is, and they come back so grateful rather than like get me out of here. Like I don't want to come back,
Right.
that feeling of like, wow, what an awesome opportunity, like life is good.
Yep.
That's
And
a testimony.
from the near death experiences that I've heard of, people having a comforting presence and a comforting reminder, and they just feel understood. And that's great to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely setting an example for all of us, and I'm just so excited that well, when I first saw you in person again for the first time, like I didn't know how it was going to be, like how your speech was going to be, or if we were going to be able to really connect and be on the same wavelength, and it's just been above and beyond my hopes and expectations. Like not only have we been able to stay on the same wavelength, but I feel like you're even like lifting me up to your vibration, which is beautiful.
Well, thank you. That is a lovely compliment to have in general. And they told me when they were dealing with my brain injury that my interests might change, and I was like, "Well, I can't get back to being with friends or loving people or playing music, but motorcycles, not so much." And I
Really?
mean, I'm not trying to ride again. It's even hard for me to see one ride next to us. I'm like, "Oh." And
Mhm.
I took motorcycle safety driver's ed, which may have also saved my life. But other traffic is just the big threat.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah, I definitely have feelings. Where,
Well,
yeah,
I don't mean to bring too many up or
that's
anything like
okay.
that.
No, I believe that we need to talk about those things, like we don't have to dwell and like, bring our vibration down, but just being aware and like, just being smart. So
Yep. And
I'm
my
curious.
grandmother had a great saying. She said, "Don't practice being depressed," which
Ooh.
is really helpful. And I think maybe that has catch me whenever I catch myself in a sad thought. I'm like, hey, let me practice being thankful and what I'm happy for.
Wow. Yeah, because it really is, it is a practice. And like whatever thoughts we allow and we perpetuate, they become our mood and then they become our reality and our character. Like over time, it's all like and it just starts in the mind. And so if we can just stay ahead of our thoughts and have that discipline, then we can truly create our reality based on that.
It really is pretty interesting. And
Wow.
I caught on when you used this dimension earlier. It like made me think I was recently learning a little bit about quantum physics, and because we have like the physical dimensions, we can see like length, width, height, but we also have time, and we can't even control that one. And no wonder it's close to religion and spirituality having a little scientific backing too. And
Mm-hmm.
it's never needed it for me, but I think it's a lovely thing to explore.
Yeah, what I've been finding is the more I look into it, the closer those two. There's more like with the quantum studies, like that. There's more overlap than people think. So I'm excited to hear you showing interest in that, and that's
That is
really. I felt like
excellent.
you were in this like this like holding room, like you were like, I felt like you were in negotiate when I tried to tap in like psychically, just trying to like, well, where is he, what's he doing, are you okay? And even if your body wasn't okay, or even if you decided that that was the end point for your life here, like I believe, like my belief, my understanding is that we remain, one way or another, that, our souls are energy. They can't be created nor destroyed. They just are. That like our souls are like a piece of this God concept, and so I was checking in with you to see where you were, if you were even like, if you wanted to come back, if you were scared or upset, if you were where you were. And what I felt like I got, and like I said, this could be my imagination, but I
I
felt like
think
what
you're
I
right on the money for even looking and receiving something.
Yeah, I dropped in, and my business partner, Lauren Morgan, also, she and I were both very like gripped with, your situation and curious like what you were gonna do. And so we both tapped in, and I felt like you were kind of at the negotiations with whatever, you know, powers that be, God or holy council, whatever. And it was like a feeling of, okay, so you can go back because you've got this thing, but you're gonna have it's gonna be this physical situation. It's gonna be like this, this is and I felt like you were like negotiating, okay, well, if I go back, I want to be able to eat and feed myself and be able to like still have romance and music and like all this kind of stuff that you were like negotiating and that you were, deciding whether or not that was gonna be whether or not you had the energy and gumption to go back and like get those things for yourself too.
Right. And I have been kind of almost grateful in a way that I don't have any near death experience memories.
Mm.
But that seems like, I'm sure if you visited with another person and you were both riveted, you were probably into something.
Yeah, Lauren kind of got something similar. We both kind of like separately like went in and like we're comparing notes and stuff. And so um yeah, it'll be fun to check back in later, like after this lifetime's over, if we have any memory of that experience. We'll see. It's fun to think about at least. But
Yep. Well, I don't mean to be dramatic, but thank you very much.
of course.
It helps me feel less forgotten about. And
Oh, you definitely
I'm
were not
very
forgotten.
I'm very thankful for friends who reach out psychically, spiritually, or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
great job.
Yeah. Just trying to feel like some type of direction in a powerless situation. Um, and so what are you feeling? So you mentioned motivational speaking and you're working on music and some other projects and maybe even, getting back into consulting or things like that. So I'm curious, what kind of relationships are you calling in for this new chapter? Whether it's friendships, colleagues, romance, anything, family. What do you want to see in your life? What's your vision?
Well, family I'm accepting of, friends I'm accepting of. Maybe used to be so frustrated that I wasn't married and didn't have children, but hey, it looks like things worked out for the best.
Mm,
And I feel like it made me more aware of other people. So I'll be watching for somebody who understands a little bit, who is good to themselves and others, and is, not an atheist or any of that stuff. So,
mhm.
because I can't have the spiritual side repressed. And
Right.
I feel like I'm more open in that way than I used to not even be really open, really in tune with that. But now I feel like I'm more connected and more open to be constructively demanding about it.
I like that phrasing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. There's something there's really something different to you. Like there's like you were all like I always was very, very fond of you and thought you were absolutely adorable and I knew that
We've always got great friends,
oh
and
yeah.
we've always been great friends as well. So
Yeah.
thank you
But
for the compliment.
absolutely. I feel like there's like there's something different. There's just like a more you were always incredibly likable, but now I'm just like blown away by like some of your depth and your dimension, some of the understanding and the I just feel like there's more places to connect to than ever, and it's just really beautiful.
And I am still a bit shy, but I have gotten more comfortable with being different because, as the people in the hospital and therapists have told me, that I'm different. And those are the kind of people who are dealing with everybody across the board. So I'm more accepting of my own differences and stuff than I used to be.
Good. Yeah, you do just seem more like at ease with life, which is so interesting because now you're like, there's so many more things to like figure out and learn, now I feel, but you seem like you're just way more at ease with the process than you ever have been. It's really
Yeah, I am becoming more at ease with it. And I mean, I write myself notes to even revisit, and one of the sayings I thought that was funny, it was like, it has to be all right, it already happened. So that's our one dimension of time
Right.
again.
Acceptance.
Eh,
Hmm.
It really has been quite a journey, and I'm grateful to still be taking it. And I'm just, just being at peace and with nature and just people in general.
Hmm.
And, when a relationship happens, I can be thankful. I've always been great to my partners and stuff. So there's not much of a change there, but I'm so glad that I'm still, quote unquote, dateable.
Oh, yeah,
And I can't
absolutely.
wait till they give me a driver's license back. Yay!
Excellent, excellent, good. I'm so glad to hear that. And so what could you envision for yourself with like your motivational speaking? Like if you just dream with me for a little bit. Like what could you see in your mind's eye in your future for what that might look like?
Well, I'm definitely into helping people. The hospital that I was at actually asked me if I would like to be open to say a few words, and I was like, absolutely, because I am full of nothing but thanks, and I love the idea of helping somebody who might need it, and just helping the people who have helped me understand the appreciation and thanks that exists for them to do their job.
My heart. Oh, this is so sweet. It's so sweet. You
Thank you.
definitely have a way with words, and just your just pure like authenticity is just palpable. Like there's no pretense. There's nothing like I love that the any self-consciousness that you had before is not really present because it just is just bubbling up from you, just this like pure like honesty and this it's just pure human spirit.
It's great to be a healthy plant. It's like, hey, I'm sorry you don't like strawberries, but I'm a strawberry bush. It's that whole kind of thing.
I got it. Yeah, I understand. Wow. Well, I feel really good about how this call has gone, and I'm excited to share this with others. Are there any other parting words or any um, take home messages that you would like to close with?
Well, I would just like to say stick to your work, stick to what professionals have told you, you stick to your motivation, be happy and thankful for what you have, and do your best. And please let us know if we've helped you.
Oh, so sweet. So sweet. Well, you are just a beautiful, vibrant soul, and we are so lucky to still have you. And I can't wait to see what these next chapters and these renewed, fresh purposes are for you, and how you're going to live them out.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope everybody, including you, has a great day.
You're so sweet. Thanks so much, Jesse. I really appreciate you.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.